Good afternoon, everyone. Now, on behalf of the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey, it is my pleasure to welcome you to our 21st induction ceremony of our New Hampshire Hall of Fame. And to get things started, I have a letter from Governor Chris Sununu that I would like to read at this time. Dear friends, I am happy to join the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey in recognizing this year's wonderful list of inductees into the Hall of Fame and to help you recognize their many achievements and contributions to hockey in New Hampshire. The individuals being recognized today made immense contributions to the sport in the guidance they have shown players and the importance of promoting and encouraging involvement in hockey within their communities. These Hall of Famers have all added to the great excitement of the game, and their commitment has gone a long way to help promote hockey in the state of New Hampshire. I commend the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey for selecting such a great group of inductees and thank your organization for all that it does for the sport of hockey in the Granite State. Again, congratulations to all of today's inductees, and thank you all for all that you have done to contribute to the sport and make hockey a New Hampshire tradition loved by so many generations. Sincerely, Christopher T. Sununu, Governor. And today, each of our inductees and our honored team, the Concord Eastern Olympics Hockey Club, will receive a citation from the Governor as well as a Senate resolution from Senator Lou D'Alessandro. And now, our invocation from Father Ray Ball.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Fellow hockey players and hockey fans. I'm Father Ray Ball, pastor of Immaculate Heart of Mary Parish here in Concord. It is my privilege to give this year's invocation to the Legends of Hockey Hall of Fame ceremony. I've always enjoyed hockey. I figured it was the closest thing I'd ever come to walking on water would be skating on ice. So, please join me in a moment of silence as we honor the remembrances of Mary Ellen Gould and Virginia Martin, who passed away since last year's induction. Mary Ellen and Virginia were spouses of longtime board members Mike Gould and Roland Martin. We also extend our condolences to those who have lost family and friends since our last gathering. Finally, we think of those in your circle of family and friends who are facing health challenges and offer our most sincere wishes for a complete and speedy recovery and for peace in the world. Hockey, like life, where it is far better when you assist, when you save, and when you have a goal, where accountability and justice is meted out in 2- and 5-minute intervals, where a penalty box becomes a place of reconciliation, when change isn't delayed but happens on the fly, where the individual sacrifices for the team, where team unity is more important than individual differences, where opposing teams are extended a handshake, where teammates become lifelong friends, and where miracles on ice truly happen, which can inspire a nation. We're grateful for the many ways that hockey has served as a force for good, inspiring effort, hard work, discipline, teamwork, sportsmanship, competitive drive, courage, perseverance, serving as a unifying presence for families, for schools, for towns, for cities, for churches, for institutions in our state. As we honor those to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, we honor the way these qualities continue to be manifest off the ice as well. May these qualities of those we honor be passed forward so that their example may continue to light the lamps in the hearts of people throughout our state. And we make this prayer in faith, hope, and love to you, our Lord, our coach, and our teammate in the game of life. Amen.
Thank you, Father Ball. And now I introduce to you the president of the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey, John Norman.
Gotta catch my breath here. This is one of the best turnouts we've had in a very long time. Thank you, all of you, for being here. This is, and I hope you come to realize, this is the premier hockey event in New Hampshire. On behalf of the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the 21st induction ceremony of our New Hampshire Hockey Hall of Fame. We are sure you will thoroughly enjoy the day, and if so, we hope you'll return next year as a fan, and hope that you would consider playing in our golf classic or consider donating as one of our annual supporters. Congratulations to the 5 individuals who are being enshrined in our Hall of Fame today. A special welcome to their family members, friends who have come to join in today's celebration. I also want to welcome current members of our Hall of Fame who are present and will take a moment to recognize them later in the program. The game has touched each of our lives in many different ways. This is a unique event that brings the New Hampshire hockey community under one roof, where we rekindle old friendships, foster new ones, and celebrate the past, present, and future of hockey in New Hampshire. Of course, we're gathered primarily to honor our inductees who have made significant contributions to the sport of hockey in New Hampshire. Like all of our members of the Hall of Fame, this year's inductees have given back to the sport of hockey and have left their unique imprint on the New Hampshire hockey landscape, and their contributions are immeasurable. I'd like to recognize a few individuals who have joined us here today. I would ask that when I introduce you, please stand and let's hold our applause until everyone has been introduced. Brian Murphy, Hall of Famer, NHL Hall of Famer, and today's keynote speaker. Former longtime UNH coach Dick Umili and his wife Rose. 3 board members from the Massachusetts Hockey Hall of Fame, Joe Britannia, Dan Esdale, and Steve Burke. Other guests include coaches and staff from the UNH hockey team, Mike Souza, Jeff Giuliano, Colin Shank, and Peter Soros. Also, head of school at Avon Old Farms, Jim DeTora and his wife Karen. Lastly, the Concord Eastern Olympics, our honored team this year. Everyone, please stand. Thank you. Our story is in the program, but as many of you are aware, the Legends were formed in 2001 with our primary mission of honoring, celebrating, and preserving New Hampshire's rich ice hockey history while supporting the development of hockey. The first organized hockey game with rules in the United States was played in 1883 on a pond here in Concord by students at St. Paul's School, today's longtime luncheon sponsor. You can access the New Hampshire Hockey Hall of Fame by going onto our website, newhampshirelegendsofhockey.com. Anyone may research, then submit a nomination of a deserving individual for induction. Next year, those nominations are due by March 1st of 2024. In the past few years, the focus of the Legends is recognizing and supporting the growth of hockey in New Hampshire. For example, we've supported several youth programs with donation of equipment for youth players most recently the Kearsarge Youth Hockey Group, of which Stephanie Perkins and Dara Gove are with us today. We partner with the New Hampshire High School coaches to recognize the boys and girls all-state teams. We also partner with the New Hampshire Prep School coaches to recognize their all-state players. We sponsor the Senior All-Star Doubleheader for Division I and Division II and Division III at the end of the season. In addition, we help support boys and girls' annual Make-A-Wish game between New Hampshire and Vermont for seniors of that graduating year. You can expect the New Hampshire Legends to continue to support hockey in New Hampshire, particularly the future of the sport at a grassroots level, youth hockey, through our partnership with New Hampshire Amateur Hockey Association. Particularly, we have Matt Roy, who is the current president. And again, thanks, Matt, for you, your coaches, and everything you do to support hockey in the state. I'd like to take a moment personally to thank our major sponsors. Our luncheon sponsor, St. Paul's School. Many thanks to their rector, Kathy Giles. Our title sponsors, co-title sponsors, New Hampshire Amateur Hockey Association. Thank you, Matt, and to your board of directors, and to the Werner Mazda banner that's up here. Bob Werner is not in attendance, but thank you so much for your support. We would like to acknowledge our longtime supporter and social hour sponsor, New Hampshire Distributors. We'd like to thank and welcome the New Hampshire Mountain Kings hockey program for their support of our social hour. Chris Brown, Tom Brown, and any of their employees, please stand. And our ring sponsor, New Car Automotive of Tilton and Sean Hanlon, thank you for your support. We also like to recognize the 15 gold level sponsors on the wall banners, the 14 silver level, and the 5 bronze that are listed in our program. I want to extend thanks to our executive director, Jim Hayes, and to the entire board of directors who worked tirelessly all year to organize this premier event, as well as our Golf Classic in July and the Senior All-Star Games in March. Thanks to all the board members, and if you would take a moment, board members, please stand. Once again, congratulations to our class of 2023 and our honored team, the Concord Eastern Olympics. Thank you very much. Ken, back to you.
Thank you, John. And now we want to recognize the team that John just mentioned, the Concord Eastern Olympics, and call to the platform Tom Meacham. Former member of the Concord Eastern Olympics.
Hello, everybody. I'm really honored to have been asked to speak on behalf of the Concord Eastern Olympics today, but I fear it's mostly under false pretenses. There were many far more accomplished hockey players on the team than I, maybe all of them, and they might perhaps be better speaking on their behalf than I. And there were some real veteran leaders on the team, mentors of mine, and it might also be more appropriate if they were here. But I was the guy always talking. Yip, 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 yap, yap, yap. With my pseudo-intellectual babble, 6 full seasons subjecting my teammates and my coaches to it, so that finally Coach Pat Egan had to put his head in his hands and utter his common lament. Oh, you college graduates. Anyway, here I am, and very, very proud to be here. And in thinking about what I was going to say today, I couldn't stop myself from looking at the Concord and Eastern Olympics through a very personal lens. But my hope is that in so doing, I can illuminate some of the more universal qualities that have made the experience so great for everybody. Well before I joined the Eastern Olympics, I had a connection to hockey in Concord. My father was a graduate and a hockey player at St. Paul's, which you've heard how much they have meant to Concord hockey over the years. And when he graduated from Harvard and then got out of the Navy, he came back to St. Paul's as a teacher. And I was a faculty brat there. And he played for a team called the Sacre Coeur, which is one of the storied amateur teams in Concord in the 40s and the 50s. And it was from that experience that I first heard the hockey stories that now we carry on as the Concord Eastern Olympics. All the hijinks and all the players in the house talking hockey. And I really felt that the Concord Eastern Olympics are a continuation of that great tradition. And I'm proud to be part of that. I really think this is the essence of sport. You know, we like the Patriots, we like the Bruins, but here is amateur sport. No money, just the game itself. The only glory you get is from the local community. It's a very, very valuable tradition. And like anything valuable, it takes a lot of effort to preserve it. And that's why I really say thank you to Jim Hayes and all the legends of hockey and everybody that has contributed to all of this. Because our last game at the Concord Eastern Olympics was 50 years ago. And yet here we are today, being remembered and being honored. And it's a great thing. Thank you, everybody. I came to the Eastern Olympics from the Harvard JVs. It's not exactly a feeder program for anything. I loved hockey. I was happy to be part of the Olympics for the reasons I just alluded to, but I didn't know anything about hockey. It was a tremendous culture shock to come to the Olympics. College hockey back in those days was essentially a no-check league, for one thing, and that was not the New England League. Our coach, a great guy, Jim Hutchinson, he wore a felt fedora and a shirt and tie out on the ice at practice. That's the kind of situation I was coming from. The next year, I come to try out for the Concord Olympics. The coach is Jack Garrity, a figure larger than life, a booming voice, a former Olympian. I think at the time, he still was the leading goal scorer in BU history. So, my first practice, we're doing those old 60 drills, one-on-one drills, forwards come down to the defenseman. Something got Jack mad. And he came over to the forward and he said, no, that's not what I want. Let me go out, give me that puck. I'm going to show you what I want you to do. Now, you guys remember Jack, there's plenty of people that do. He had like the Jerry Lee Lewis pompadour going for himself, do you remember? The comb back, no helmet. He grabs the puck, turns and comes down, and the next defenseman he's coming down on is Burns Hovey. Now, Burns Hovey, and I know he'll take this as a compliment, was no fun to play against at all, but he was also no fun to practice against. It just was a tough go. So down comes Jack on Burns Hovey, tries to pull some dipsy-do, and Burns gives him every hip, every elbow, every knee he could find, laid all the lumber on him, and sent Jack crashing hard into the corner. And when he got up, that pompadour, he had hair sticking out straight from his head, from all sides of his head. And I said to myself, okay, this is a different league. But over time, thanks to the leadership and guidance of the coaching staff, but mostly the senior mentor players on the team. For me, Wayne Pecknold, Billy Seabury, Buzz Littell, Chucky Kyle, over so many games and so many practices and so many rides to the game talking hockey and rides home from the game talking hockey, slowly learned something about the game. Hang on to the puck. Don't just slap it away. You got more time, a little bit more time than you think you have. And so by the time I ended my career at the Eastern Olympics, I was playing on a line with Billy Seabury and with Buzzy Littell, and I thought I was making some good progress, you know? But it's all relative. Even during that last season, Billy turned to me between periods of one game and he said, "Matrim, I'm only giving you the puck when you are 10 feet out from the net. Because if I give it to you any earlier, I will never see the puck again." And I actually, looking around the room, see some of my other center icemen here, and they might echo the same sentiment. But we also I learned what it means to be a team, the shared purpose, all our roles respected. You know, you can't have 9 forwards that all want to play on the power play. And we had some really great players, a ton of meaningful games, and more than worthy opponents. And we had so much fun. Yes, we had fun off the ice, and those stories must remain untold. But we really had fun on the ice, playing the game of hockey and enjoying the beauty of this deceptively simple game. And because of that, we formed the deepest, strongest bonds. Some of those relationships continued. Guys we played together on other teams after the Eastern Olympics are guys you might see regularly once a year at like the Hockey East tournament, or like this, where seeing guys that I haven't seen in 50 years. But no matter what, because of what we had, it's as if no time has passed. So if indelible memories and friendships that last a lifetime are the real essence of sport, we sure had that with the Concord Eastern Olympics. And it's so great to see all you guys. Thank you very much.
So let me begin by, actually I should have done this before Tom came up, but we'll do it now. Honoring the Concord Eastern Olympics, if you lived in the capital city in the 60s and 70s, there was no place you would rather be on a weekend night than 15 Loudon Road. Yes, 15 Loudon Road was the address of Douglas Everett Arena and home to some of the best darn hockey you'd ever see. As mentioned in the article in today's program, in the fall of '67, the Concord Coachmen were preparing to launch their second season. Head coach Norm Burns of the Rangers defensemen was returning for his second year, and he and director of player personnel Bob Tardif were putting the players through the paces, trying to secure the best players available. Then over the next week, the Coachmen merged with the Eastern Olympics of the greater Boston area and became known as the Concord Eastern Olympics, and the rest is history. If you were lucky enough to get there when the doors opened, you got a seat, one of 2,400 seats that were available. You may have been in one of 2 or 3 deep rows circling the arena to catch a glimpse of your local heroes through the chicken wire and the bone-crushing action that went along with that game, and an occasional fight now and then. I don't know if that was, I think they were more than occasional. Yes, this was the Concord Eastern Olympics in the New England Hockey League. In fact, our own Dick Boucher was the league's first president. Concord won the title against Nashua in 69-70. They lost in the semifinals in 70-71 to Manchester. 70-72 lost to Manchester. 72-73 lost to Braintree, 73-74 won the triple elimination Can-Am title. 85 players laced up for the locals during that period. The all-time scoring list of the Concord Eastern Olympics shows Buzz Littell scoring 240 goals, 248 assists. That's 1.4.2 points per game. And as you know, Buzz was a former UNH Wildcat. Right behind him, with 199 goals, 284 assists, 483 points, leading the team in points per game was Bill Seabury at 1.67. Others with more than 200 points were Pinch, 356, Meacham, 297, Steve Murphy, 267, Wayne Pecknell, 238, Sandy Murphy, 230, Bud Emery, 221, and Roger Letourneau at 208. There were 4 documented goaltenders wearing the red, white, and blue, while Bob Ring played most of the games, posting a 3.81 goals against average with 118 games, while Tom Smeltzer played 47 with 3.92, and Bob Brescia played 39 with 4.57 goals against. We'd like to provide a special shout out to team statistician extraordinaire Charlie Davis for his work during each of the Olympic 7 seasons. In addition, donated the scorebooks to the legends. Now, I'd like to have all of the members of the Eastern Olympics please stand.
That is for sure. And now it is time for lunch, and we invite you to enjoy a vintage video of the 1932 Winter Olympic Games during lunch, donated by the George Chase family. And also, there were 30 Concord Eastern Olympics logos under 30 chairs in the hall today. There are 30 logos. If you have one of those logos underneath your chair, we want you to bring it to the left side of the stage at the conclusion of today's event. Again, we thank you very much for being here, and enjoy your terrific lunch, thanks to St. Paul's School. It's time now to recognize the members of the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey Hall of Fame in attendance today. I'm going to start to my right, and we would like them to stand when they are introduced, and you can hold your applause until all have been introduced. Brian Murphy. John Norman. Ron DiGregorio. Pierre Belanger. Renee Leclerc. Ken McKinnon. Merrill Fay. Peter Marr. Tom Moulton. Dick Boucher. Dick, by the way, and his lovely wife this week celebrated their 65th wedding anniversary. So congratulations to Dick and to Joanne as well. It's quite an achievement. Dick Roy. Andre Prefontaine. Chris Brown. Tara Mounsey. Bruce Parker. Roger Letourneau. Steve Bishop. Gary Bishop, Rod Ross, Dick Umili, Jeff Giuliano, and Julie Sansner-Smith. Now, let's give them a big round of applause. And a reminder that at the conclusion of today's ceremony, photographs will be taken on stage, starting with the 2023 inductees, then all of the Hall of Fame members, major sponsors, and then the Concord Eastern Olympics members, and also members of our 2024 honored team, which is still a mystery, and that will be unveiled in just a little while. Time now to introduce our keynote speaker today. He was inducted into the Legends Hockey Hall of Fame last fall, has officiated for 32 seasons in the National Hockey League, both as a linesman and a referee. In 2020, he was named the Supervisor of Officials for Hockey East, and in December, he will be inducted into the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame in a ceremony in Boston. Our keynote speaker today, a New Hampshire legend of hockey from New Hampshire, Brian Murphy.
Thanks, Ken. Several of you in the room have told me to keep this short, and I have no notes, so you know it's going to be short. But no, first of all, thank you to the board of directors and Jimmy Hayes for inviting me to do this. I appreciate that, and congratulations to all the inductees today. You're all very worthy. You know, it's interesting, when they called me to do this, this is, you know, my favorite day of the year. And, you know, it's because you're in a room full of people who just love hockey, and it's New Hampshire hockey, and it's special to me, and it's interesting. I ran into Peter Marr a couple weeks ago up at Alfond Arena, where he went to school, and the first thing we say to each other is, I'll see you on October 22nd. And, you know, I talked to Joe Britannia, and before I keep going, you know, Joe on December 6th is going to receive the Lester Patrick Award, which to me is the most prestigious award in the United States for hockey. And Joe Britannia, to me, is Mr. College Hockey, and it's an award he richly deserves. It's interesting. Obviously, I grew up in New Hampshire, and I grew up in Dover. And at the time I grew up, we didn't have a rink. My mom and dad made a rink in the backyard, and I was skated around there, and eventually Rochester built a rink. And you know, my dad was a season ticket holder at UNH, and you know, I always wanted to play at UNH, and I think it's awesome today we're recognizing Mick. You know, he's grew up in New Hampshire and had the opportunity to play at our state institution and live out his dream, and I think that's really a special thing. And you know, I remember when I got into officiating, probably one of the best things for me was I got to work games with Johnny Norman, because I watched him play at UNH, and you know, there's a guy that, you know, this whole thing is a credit to him. I mean, there's a guy that started at UNH, but he, you know, he wasn't just a player at UNH. He also went on to a coaching career, officiating career. He's given his life to hockey, and this whole day is really a reflection of him and the efforts that his board and Jimmy Hayes put through. So let's give a round of applause to them. Also, you know, on December 6th, you know, Katie King-Crowley's going into the U.S. Hall of Fame on the same night as I am. It's really a privilege to go in with somebody else from New Hampshire. My oldest daughter, Casey, she did a story when she was a kid, growing up, when she was in grammar school. She did a story on how she wanted to be Katie King-Crowley. And, you know, I see Tara Mounsey here today, and, you know, a whole generation of people grew up wanting to be them, and certainly what they've done for the women's game. And you know, we finally got a women's pro league that's really, I think, finally organized, but certainly what they represented for the state of New Hampshire and what they did for the game is just unbelievable. So that's a credit to Tara and everything that her and Katie have done, and congratulations to them. I do have one story to tell. This is one of the best stories. I've known Kenny McKinnon like since I was a high school player. He came and refereed my games. Kenny would come to referee high school games at Dover with this blue Parker on. It was too cold for him, so he'd have this blue Parker on, and that's how he refereed the games a lot of times on the cold nights. But I've known Kenny. Kenny was the first player from Canada ever to come and play at the University of New Hampshire. And so I was playing golf with a teammate of his this past March down in Florida, a guy named Ron Noble. And Ron told his story, and I knew part of the story because Kenny still holds the record at UNH for the most goals in a game. On February 11th, 1961, against the University of Connecticut, Kenny scored 6 goals. Think about that, 6 goals. It's still the record for the University of New Hampshire. On that day, Ron Noble scored his first collegiate goal. When the game ended, Captain Kenny, gave the game puck to his teammate, Ron Noble. That's the type of guy Kenny McKinnon is. One of the best stories I've heard. And Kenny loves the game because, he's leaving tomorrow to drive up to Canada to go to an over 80 tournament. Like, I just hope to be breathing when I'm 80 years old. It's just amazing. But no, I think, when Jimmy called me, I was sitting in my office at home, and this is probably the most special picture I have in my office. And so I know it's hard to see, but it's a picture of downtown Dover in the lower square in the mid-1970s. And there's about 8-9 businessmen in the picture, and they started a fund to raise money to build a rink in Dover because we didn't have a rink. And they were trying to raise $250,000. And the great system that we have today called Google tells me that $250,000 today is just under $1.35 million. So, and that's how the rink in Dover got started. And, we're inducting, 3 builders here today. And I think it's important to realize, like a lot of people, obviously I get recognized for things, and I love that. I think that's great. Obviously, it's very nice that people think of you. But, these people in this picture are really the true legends of New Hampshire hockey, okay? They're the people that, it's like, Paul Camo and Dave Caron. I mean, they are the people, their legacy is going to live on forever. These people's legacy live on by every kid that walks into that Dover rink and gets to skate. And it's those people that have really made New Hampshire great. And a good friend of mine who works for USA Hockey reminds me all the time that, USA Hockey's built on volunteers, right, Ron? They're built on volunteers. And these people are really the true legends of New Hampshire hockey, and unfortunately, they don't get recognized enough. But anyway, this is a day I love. I hope all you love it as well. But let's celebrate the 5 people who deserve to be inducted. You've heard enough from me. Enjoy the rest of your day and get home safely. Thank you very much. Ken, thank you.
Thanks to Brian Murphy. And our first inductee today into the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey Hall of Fame is Walter Nadeau. Walter graduated from Berlin High in 1966, more than 30 years of service to the Berlin and Coos County Historical Society has established him as the keeper of the hockey legends in Berlin, and there are many of them. In fact, 40 legends of hockey from Berlin. He will be number 41, by the way, and due to his efforts, a prominent display of the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey from Berlin now exists in that city. Ladies and gentlemen, Walter Nadeau, class of 2023, New Hampshire Legends of Hockey.
says here, Hockey Hall of Fame speech. Whew. I'm probably the first builder / historian to be inducted into New Hampshire Legends of Hockey Hall of Fame. So I guess I'll give you a quick 5-minute lesson on Berlin's hockey history. I'm the sports guy at the Berlin-Corliss County Historical Society, along with knowing much of its other history. The two big sports in Berlin over the past 125 years are ski sports, particularly ski jumping, and ice hockey. In my sports research, I found that since the NHIAA began in 1947, there were 3 high schools in Berlin from 1941 through 1972. Among the 3 Berlin schools, there was 1 football state title, 3 baseball championships, a half-dozen field hockey championships, 3 softball titles, and 1 basketball championship. But when it comes to hockey, between the 2 high schools in Berlin, Notre Dame High School and Berlin High School, there are 33 men's New Hampshire championships and 1 women's championship. That's not all. They also won 2 New England championships and were runner-ups 4 times. Once you read about that, you're going to kind of drawn in a little bit more. Berlin had a senior amateur hockey association team known as the Berlin Maroons. The original team had its early beginnings in 1920 when the Berlin Hockey Association was formed, and in 1937 became the Berlin Maroons, which disbanded in 1972. During this period, they won 7 New England and 3 national AHA championships. The most amazing story, hockey story in Berlin, is the Catholic high school, Notre Dame High School. They opened in 1941, closed in 1972. The school had an average population of 300, and 60% of them were women. However, in 25 years, Notre Dame High School won 19 state championships, including 16 straight, 1 New England title in 57 against Hamden, Connecticut, beating them 7-0, ranking Notre Dame High School one of the top 3 hockey teams in the United States. They were so good in 1957, they won the state title without playing a game. No one challenged them. They were so good. The sports journalist asked the coach at Berlin High School, "Aren't you going to play Notre Dame in the state playoffs?" "The only way I'll play them is if they let me board up my net." Notre Dame won the state championship in 1972, the last year of their existence. They beat Manchester Memorial 3-2 in the finals. Manchester Union leader called that the game of the millennium. Berlin High School is entering its 95th hockey season since 1922. During that time period, they've had 938 wins, 553 losses, and 50 ties for a 61% winning percentage. Great hockey has returned to Berlin, with Berlin High School winning 3 state titles in the last 4 years, and youth hockey is going strong. Among the 153 New Hampshire Legends inductees, 41 are from Berlin. All said, Berlin deserved the moniker Hockey Town, USA. Hall of Famer Roderick Blackburn made it financially possible for the Berlin-Corliss County Historical Society to recognize our hockey heroes by creating a Hockey Hall of Fame in Berlin. Please come and visit. And I'm going to end this with a little bit of a story. It's a story in 2012, a hockey player was inducted in the Hockey Hall of Fame. His name was Richard Valier. He was a member of the 57 NDHS New England Championship team and played for the Berlin Maroons for 10 years. His sister, Lorraine, accepted the honor for him posthumously. She told this short tale with a very heavy French accent. And Lorraine said, when I was in high school, you know, my parents, they go watch Richard play hockey. I never go watch him play. I had to take care of my brother and my sister, but I listened to the game on the radio. And he said, if the other team scored first, I would go in the living room and get the Virgin Mary, put her in the cellar and close the door and said, you're not coming out until Notre Dame scores. Thank you.
Our next inductee is the late Paul Comeau. And Paul, for over 30 years, was actively involved in youth hockey programs on the Seacoast and also at the state level with the USA Hockey. Paul's goal was to make hockey affordable for everyone, to give every youngster an opportunity who wanted to play, to be able to play, and a chance to succeed. And here to accept for Paul is his wife, Robin. Robin Comeau.
I'm really honored to be here today with our three sons, Matt, Tony, and Eric, to accept this award on behalf of their father and my husband, Paul. We would like to thank the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey for their recognition of Paul's accomplishments, years of service, and dedication to youth hockey in New Hampshire. Paul would be the first one to tell you that he didn't do it for accolades or praise. He devoted his time because he truly enjoyed youth hockey, and he strived to make sure that the sport was attainable and affordable for all kids in New Hampshire. He wanted to make sure that they had a positive experience, something that would last a lifetime. I feel there is nothing more important than hockey. And with hockey, and I'm sure everybody can attain this, but you have a lot of very good friendships that last a lifetime. Paul's involvement with youth hockey started when we signed our boys up to play with the New Hampshire East Eagles. They were 5 and 7 years old at the time. Little did Paul know that that was the start of his 28-year career in youth hockey. The majority of his time was spent with New Hampshire East organization, starting out as a board member, becoming president, and then the director of hockey. And in between, he coached and he reffed. He was also on the board for New Hampshire Amateur Hockey Association, becoming its president twice, a position that he held when he passed away. Paul took great pride in the work he did. He was old school, meaning that he did what he could on a computer, but he preferred to write everything down, and he kept many binders. He always felt that if the computers crashed, he would always have everything at his fingertips. And I never saw somebody in my life that had so many Post-it notes all over the place. But it worked for him, and that was all that mattered. And if he were here today, I'm sure he would have quite a few stories he could tell. And for those of you who knew Paul, you got to experience firsthand the type of person he was and his sense of humor. And he needed a sense of humor because I don't think he realized when he started down this road that it would become a 24/7 job. And that included vacations. So by proxy, I was brought along for the ride. But despite all of the time and effort Paul put into hockey, I wouldn't change it for the world. It made him happy, and it definitely kept him busy. And he had many colorful moments throughout his tenure, some of which I cannot mention, and some many of you who knew him witnessed firsthand. The memories he made will last a lifetime. Our sons and I are very proud of him and believe he truly made a difference for the children in New Hampshire. We're joined today with 17 of our family relatives to celebrate Paul, and believe me, many of them have plenty of stories they can tell you. So again, thank you so much for this honor.
Our next honoree is Dave Caron from Belmont. Dave is originally from Biddeford, Maine, and he was the driving force behind the creation of the Belmont-Guilford Cooperative Hockey Team, which led to a number of cooperative hockey teams now in New Hampshire. Theirs was the first, and Dave was a USA Hockey referee for 20 years. Currently, serves on the board of directors for the nonprofit Winnipesaukee Skating Club, owners of the Merrill Fay Arena. Ladies and gentlemen, the class of 2023 is now joined by Hockey Hall of Famer Dave Caron.
First, like to welcome my family who I dragged here today. My wife and my rock, Loretta. My son, Nick, with his wife, Jess, and their two sons, Ames and Austin. My brother and his wife, Bill and Robin. My daughters, Allie and Becky's fiance, Kevin. It's really an honor to be here to really accept this on behalf of a really dedicated group of volunteers back in 2001. Looking back on it, we really could have called ourselves the parent support group of cranky hockey kids. If you think back in 2000, the Olympics just finished, and hockey always gets a bump when the Olympics happens. Through the incredible leadership and vision of Merrill Fay, we finally had an ice arena in the Lakes region, which was phenomenal for us. Joe Dudek started his own standalone team, and so our kids and other parents' kids were saying, well, what about us? So, you know, we spent the weekend at my high school buddy's house in Maine and saw his son play hockey, and they were playing a team I didn't recognize, so I asked him about it. He says, no, those are two high schools that got together and formed a team. So we reached out to the Maine Principal Association, got their rules, looked at them, and then we had a gathering at our place. Brett and I invited a bunch of folks to our house that summer. The leaders of the band were Jack Donovan, Artie Damaris, Robin and Jeff Banan, Dana Zucker, Bob Piper, Tom O'Flaherty, Alan McRae. And we thought this might work for us because there were a couple headwinds against us. First, being a small New Hampshire town, we didn't have a lot of hockey tradition. Not many towns do, except, of course, for Berlin. I mean, those kids up there are born with hockey skates on, and rumor has it that the hospital up there is the only maternity ward with a skate shopping machine there. So, but we didn't have that tradition. The other thing we realized is that I don't think that there's a sport that's more adversely impacted when the economy starts wobbling than hockey. Young parents tighten their belts, some kids can't play. So we knew we had to band together to take a look at hopefully putting together one team. So we put a call into Harry Blood. Harry passed a year or so ago, and he was the athletic director of Molten Borough Academy. Rhett and Harry's wife taught together for years in Laconia. He was also on the NHIAA executive board, and so we pitched the idea to him, and he was intrigued, but the information we really came away with was the executive director of NHIAA was Jim Damaris. He served in that role for 20 years, 20 plus years, and what Harry told us was he's innovative, he wants to get more kids playing sports, so with that information, we were pretty well assured we at least won't get the door slammed in our faces. So we met with Jim down in Concord. A handful of us went down there. He told us about the vision and the goals of the NHIAA and also the rules which they currently didn't have in place. So at that point, we met with our superintendents, Mike Kozart from Shaker, which is Belmont and Canterbury, and Steve Russell, Guilford, which also includes the Gilmanton kids. And they were very supportive and very enthusiastic. They both sent a letter to the NHIAA asking them to consider the cooperative concept. And so off we went. Of course, you know, it takes time. NHIAA was very deliberate in their process. Obviously, they wanted to make sure that they had the rails in place so people wouldn't start developing regional all-star teams. So we ran a club team for about 3 seasons. It took the NHIAA a couple years to put the rules in place. And so we got super support from the rink. Dennis Colmo and Will Fay were the managers there. They found us some ice time. And then we had a locker room. They gave us a locker room, which was really great. Kevin Berry was the assistant to Perry Plummer at St. Thomas. He heard what we were doing, and he shared his little black book of all the contacts of sub-varsity programs in New Hampshire and Southern Maine. So we cobbled together about a 10 to 16 game schedule over 3 seasons. The Lakes Region community stepped up financially. The parents were great. One thing unique they did was it wasn't more like a bake sale, it was like a potluck at a hockey game. And they'd sell all this food. Of course, you know, the rink manager was freaking out, thinking all their proceeds from the snack bar was going to go away. They finally realized that the food they were selling was too healthy for the kids anyway, so they went to the snack bar anyway. And You know, they were really helpful, raised a lot of money, and it was a really good day for our club team when the kids won a game on the ice, and we sold enough meatball subs, sold enough mac and cheese, and sold enough whoopie pies to pay the referees. It was a great day. So we got the word during our 03-04 season that the state had adopted the rules and they had accepted our petition to become a varsity team. So, you know, timing is everything, or maybe not. Our last club team had we had all the ingredients for a decent team. We had some top-notch talent, we had a really good supporting cast, and we had leadership in the locker room. Well, during that period, after that period, a lot of those kids retired. They didn't retire, they graduated, they wish they were retired. And we had a couple leaders we were looking forward to, they jumped over the prep. So we ended up in our first year in a rebuilding mode. But it didn't deter the kids, so we played our 18-game schedule and we won one game. So when the D3 semis was still across the river at the Everett, I ran into Jim Damaris. I don't know if you know Jim, he's a consummate gentleman. So he talked about the cooperative team concept and how the groups got together. And he was trying to ask me very nice, and he did, but I forgot how he phrased it. But essentially he was asking me, are you guys going to stink forever? And so, no, we'll be fine. I had no idea how accurate my response was going to be, but Mike Bardner came in the following year. He had played for the Leafs junior hockey team in Laconia, 4 years Plymouth State. And so year two, we won our one game, we tied two more, but the difference is that those 8-0 losses in the first year came to be 5-2 losses in the second year. So the team progressed. Mike was the coach for a number of years. Jay Londa was the coach. He got the program's first state title in 2015, followed up by a runner-up in 16. And then Coach Parent got the program's second state title last year, and that was preceded by a runner-up. And incidentally, all four of those title appearances were against Berlin-Gorham, so they're starting to develop a nice little rivalry. But personally, it's been great for us to see it grow. Both my daughters played for the team. My son graduated the year before, and I occasionally get needled as to why we didn't start the process a year earlier. So once again, sorry, Nick, this is the way it happened. You know, the volunteers have kept the program going off the ice: Pete Karagianis, Deb Dupree, Michelle Blake, and Jen McGreevy. So it's been really fun to watch the cooperative team. But I think even more gratifying is to see how the school administrators and the athletic directors embrace the cooperative team concept. You know, if we step outside of hockey for a bit, last year there were 24 cooperative teams in other sports, primarily football, lacrosse, field hockey, even a couple softball and baseball programs way up north. Looking back at hockey, when you started this journey, there were 35 or 36 varsity programs, all in the boys' divisions. This coming year, there will be 56 high school hockey teams this year, of which 46 are cooperative teams. And, you know, it helps the small schools, obviously. In D3, 9 of the 11 teams are co-op. And I think it's just fantastic to see the growth of girls' high school hockey in the state. This year, we're going to have 17 high school teams, of which 9 are co-ops. So all told, as of this year, we're going to have 90 different groups of athletes representing 60 schools playing hockey this year. That's 2/3 of all of the NHIAA members are offering hockey. So, you know, when we started this journey, it was all about keeping the kids on the ice. And on behalf of all the volunteers and administrators, thank you very much.
Our next inductee was born in Portsmouth. He has run the clock, kept the score sheet, reported statistics to local newspapers for the Rochester Men's Hockey League for 45 years. Missing just a very few games, he's been on hand for nearly 3,000 games over the years. Also a decorated member of the U.S. Army, serving in the Pacific Theater in World War II. And we thank you for your service. And let's welcome a man who turned 100 years old on July 25th, to the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey Hall of Famer, Nelson Hutchings.
Thank you very much. First, I want to thank our 3 sons and daughters for being here. It's a great pleasure. And I stand before you today with a heart filled with gratitude and pride as I accept this incredible honor of induction into the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey Hall of Fame. To say that this moment is a dream come true would be an understatement, as my journey in the world of hockey has been nothing short of a remarkable 45 years of adventure. For 4.5 decades, I had the privilege of running the scoreboard for what was once the Tri-City Men's Hockey League and later became the Rochester Men's Hockey League. It has been an absolute joy to witness, share talent, dedication, and sportsmanship of the various players who graced the ice through that time. From the former players of the NHL, the stars in the college and high school ranks, to all players that have contributed to the rich tapestry of this great sport. I had the best seat in the house, watching some of the best hockey being played. I want to express my deepest gratitude to Tommy Moulton and Arnie Bennett and his family, who saw fit to nominate me for this prestigious honor, and also Peter Maher. Tommy, your belief in my dedication to the game means the world to me, and I am forever thankful for your support. Thank you. I also wish to thank all of the past presidents and the latest president, Mike Young. Also thanks to Mike Whaley, the sports editor for Foster's Daily Democrat. Mike included a chapter about me in his recently published book, A Pen for All Seasons. I have had the pleasure of watching 4 of your board members play their extended hockey careers. Johnny Norman, Peter Maher, who by the way scored over 100 points in a 20-game season, Tom Moulton, and Mike Young. My journey in hockey wouldn't have been possible without the unwavering support of my family. My wife, Rena, who would wait up for me every Monday, would wait up for me to return. My son, Billy, through many a storm, made sure that I made it to the rink and back. To my son, Howard, who was the one who initially asked me to run the clock all those years. I'll never forget those cold nights in the arena, bundled up in layers with frozen feet. In those days, did I skip a page? In those days, yeah, the score booth was on the concrete floor and it would be freezing cold. It was a labor of love, and every moment was worth it to be a part of this incredible world of hockey. Hockey was a family sport. From junior tryouts, my son Tom had a tryout for the 1980 Olympic team. Back then, he was only 14 years of age. He was not cut the first night, but my wife, Rena, was yip, 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 he's going to get hurt, he's going to get hurt. So she talked me out of bringing him back for the next night. That experience filled me with immense pride. Hockey runs deep in our family, and it's moments like those that make this sport not just a game, but a way of life. In closing, come on. In closing, I want to thank everyone who has been a part of this incredible journey over the past 45 years. To the players, coaches, fans, fellow scoreboard operators, you've all contributed to making this a remarkable ride. Thank you for the memories, the camaraderie, and the love of the game. Here's to a fantastic 45 years, and here's to the future of hockey, a sport that will forever hold a special place in my heart. Thank you.
There you go. I didn't think I needed a mic. Huh? I've often heard that. But at any rate, Nelson and I had a chance to chat before the induction ceremonies today. He said the key to his longevity is a great breakfast every morning and Manhattans, right? Yeah? We want to welcome our final inductee of the day, outstanding player at Concord High School, where he scored the game-winning goal in a state title game against Bishop Girton and had a chance to play with his sister Tara on that undefeated team. He then went on to win a New England Prep Championship at Avon Old Farms and have a terrific 4-year career at the University of New Hampshire under head coach Dick Umili. We welcome Mick Mounsey to the Legends of Hockey class of 2023.
It's enough out of you, Bez. I think it's fitting today that Brian Murphy, being a referee, is the keynote speaker. Coach Umili had some run-ins with some referees that he necessarily didn't like. We'll get to that later. I'd like to recognize Jim Hayes and the people involved in making New Hampshire Legends what it is today. I'm honored to be part of an excellent inductee group. Since receiving my phone call from Carl Lovejoy, I have spent countless hours reflecting on my athletic career. My thoughts, however, always circle back to one common theme: the people who cared about my development as an athlete and perhaps, more importantly, my development as a person. Our story begins with a man who some in this room likely know, Dave Budrias. Dave is who introduced us to hockey. I can still remember the New Year's Eve skates at their house. He always had great ice and big fires. You know what I'm talking about, Dave. I can still my sister and my development took place on ponds and backyard rinks. The ultimate backyard rink was the enclosed one at Dennis Nolan's. We had some of the unbelievable games out there. Skating on the outdoor rinks were the best times. No coaches. It was just us telling us what to do. Looking back at my youth hockey days in Concord, I was fortunate enough to play alongside very talented players. Clint Ettinger, Tim Walsh, Mike Comerford, Jeff Kane, Stacy Budrias, Matt Budrias, Chris Mounsey, Tara Mounsey. The list goes on. Jeff Giuliano could likely attest to the same being true in Manchester. As years went on, the talent that I played alongside with only got better. I was fortunate to make Concord High as one of 2 freshmen that year. Aaron Boise was the other freshman who went on to win 4 straight NHI championships. I don't think there's been anyone else in Concord to do that. Although we spent countless hours on the ice together, this was the first time we played together as teammates and line mates under the coaching of Dunk Walsh. I'd say we made a pretty good duo. I'm sure that she feels she carried me at times, but I can say the feeling's mutual. To this day, people still ask what it's like being the second best hockey player in the family. We were all second best to her. I don't think she gave her training partner enough credit. As my game developed, an unforeseen opportunity came knocking. Late in July, after my freshman year, a local gentleman named Eric Rosenberg pulled my parents aside. Although Eric lived in Concord, he had been working at Avon in alumni development. A week later, my parents and I went down for a tour. But I only remember two things. It was pouring rain, and the ride took forever. That was the day of the Atlas. It wasn't Waze or anything like that. However, 3 weeks later, my parents dropped me off with my bags, and I'm reporting for preseason football. Talk about a sport I did not like. What's to enjoy about it? You get hit on all sides, you play one game a week, and the coaches think you're a track team. Yeah. I did meet a coach my first day at preseason football, and we built a bond that stays true to this day. Like many faculty of the school, it's their life. Although he told his wife they'd only be there for a year, it turned into 30 plus years. Mr. DeTore knows how to get the most out of every boy at Avon, athletically and academically. The story of our first time meeting Mr. DeTore goes exactly like this. Don't let him tell you any different. We were told we got dropped off at school. We were told we needed to be at the football field at 5:30 a.m. in the morning. First practice. I don't know if that makes you a better football player, but it was 5:30 in the morning. So we get dressed. In Avon, the campus is up on a hill, and the fields are down low, and you can't see them from the campus. Never been there. I looked at the school. It was raining out. So 5:15 in the morning, you're following the upperclassmen down this washed-out trail, and you get down to the fields. And now I'm thinking, like, 3 weeks. I could be home and in bed right now. And we get down to the field, no coaches. And here comes a car, like, you can see it's like foggy. It was like right out of a movie. Here comes a car. It's Mr. Driscoll and Mr. DeTore. And those two guys, they're yelling before they even get out of the car. I'm like, this is exactly what I thought football would be. But the whole time, they're yelling about nothing. I'm just looking at him. And it was the way he was dressed. He had a John Deere hat on that looked like we towed it behind our car from New Hampshire. A sweatshirt, jeans, the old football belts that never stayed tight, but it looked like he took it off an offensive lineman because it like dragged on the ground behind him, the tail of it. And he had these work boots. Never tied them. So now I'm thinking, I know why we're practicing at 5:30 in the morning. Because most guys in this room have been turned around by their wives to say, you're going to really wear that. It was so he could get out of the house looking like that. But that was my first impression of him. Unbelievable. Him and his wife, we still laugh about it to this day. But he's just an unbelievable person. I gotta find out where I was. I went to UNH, guys, okay? Leave me alone. Yeah, Sharon, I need help. All right, here we go. Yeah. So this wasn't just a one-time thing. This was an everyday thing that he wore this outfit. This was even game day. But Mr. and Mrs. DeTore are here today, still supporting me. You are a big reason why I'm standing here today. Since I graduated, Mr. DeTore has become head of school and my oldest son's academic advisor. Mr. and Mrs. DeTore, thank you for everything you have done for me and continue to do for my family. Thank you. I had no idea about Avon Old Farms hockey and the culture. I remember being told by other players that no freshmen make the varsity team. Guys, I had to make the varsity team. You know who the JV hockey coach was? DeTora. Joe Grasso and I made it as freshmen. You get introduced to traditions quick when you're a rookie. Win or lose, every goal we gave up, we had to do a Herbie. If anybody's ever watched The Miracle, well, that's what we had to do. They still do it to this day. Here I was thinking the goalies need to stop playing better even when we win. We always had great positional coaches to complement head coach John Gardner. My senior defense coach was Dan Murphy, who played for UMaine, and taught me a lot about positioning and much more. I was texting with him last night, actually. Just recently, fellow Hall of Famer C.J. Feisick and I were talking about the Christmas Classic at Avon. I think that, at Avon. And then St. Paul's has been coming down to that for years. Giuliano can tell you about staying in the dorms at Avon. I think that was part of our strategy for us. Just this past Friday, I spent some time with Coach Gardner and his team. We sat reminiscing about the players that have been through the program over the years. It is hard to put into words the impact that the school community has had on my life as an athlete, but also as a man. Coach Gardner has over 800 wins currently and is still going strong heading into his 49th year. I owe it to Avon for preparing me to play hockey at UNH. The timing was perfect when I went to play for Coach Umili in 2000. The building was new, the team was stacked, coming off recent NCAA appearances. There are a few guys from the late 90s teams in attendance today. We have Tim Walsh, Mike Souza, and Pete Soares. Pete has been involved with pro and collegiate sports for over 20 years. What Pete does is he's a media guy, statistician, and things like that, and he's done a lot. He's best known for dancing on the Jumbotron, doing the Dirty Bird for the Boston Celtics. Of course, we have Coach Umili and Rose as well. After being recruited by UNH and meeting with Coach Umili and Coach McCloskey, I knew that this was where I wanted to go. I quickly learned that Coach Umili's style and level of expectation was fitting of his nickname that he had back in college, Nails. He was tough as nails. He was the style coach I was used to playing for. He was able to build teams that had an equal balance of skill and toughness. I believe that this is why we had the success we had. The team was on fire, and I was proud to be able to play for a top-ranked program right here in my home state. Over the years, we have had an incredible mix of talent and leadership. Our teams were like family. We had amazing chemistry on the ice, but took care of each other off the ice. We knew when to be serious, but we also knew when to have fun. There were some years our seasons were 8 months long. While some of our teams had more success than others, one thing was always consistent. We trained hard and we practiced hard. Many people fail to recognize what it takes to compete at the level of college sports. It is physical and mental grind. As a freshman, I found myself in the lineup in my first game out in Michigan. I knew if I wanted to stay in the lineup, I was going to need to do my job well, which was to take care of the D zone. We weren't allowed to carry the puck over the defensive blue line, right? Glassing out. I managed to stay in the lineup for all 4 years. My sophomore and junior years, we found ourselves at the Frozen Four. Anybody who's played deep into the season knows that by that time you get to the championship stage, you are physically and mentally exhausted. You can only hope that you have one more left in you. While we did not come out on top in the NCAA championships, we're proud to add the school's first 2 Hockey East championships. I can't talk about UNH without recognizing my teammates, who are like family to us. We spent every waking hour together. Our families traveled on the road trips together, and we often spent holidays together. My roommates are all here today. Unfortunately, Mike Ayers couldn't make it. But Steve Saviano, Mike Ayers, Pete Soares, Travis Bunga, Mike Sheehy, when he couldn't walk 2 doors down to his own apartment. Which was most weekends. Over those 4 years, we had some of the best memories. When we reminisce, we still laugh just as hard today. Steve Saviano's impersonation of Coach Umili. It's the best. If you guys get your wallets out, Savs will do stuff for money. So we're out at practice, and Mike Lubeznik, we call him Bez with 2 Z's to be specific, and this kid from Chicago could not shoot the puck, right? There's nothing worse than coaching and you have players that pucks end over end. Well, he's a Division I college athlete and the puck's end over end. So coach is like, you're a big, strong kid, you need to shoot the puck. So it was like a week later. Bez shoots the puck, goes over the net, and hits the glass, and it breaks. Because the puck hit it flat. It was like on edge. But Bez was confused. He's like, Coach, you want me to keep shooting pucks, or? That wasn't our only glass issue, though. Travis Bunga broke the glass in practice by slamming his stick over it, but Coach McCloskey covered up because Coach Umili was looking the other way. He was one of the first guys. He was our roommate, and I didn't know how to expect it, but he was the first male hockey player that I ever met that had a blow dryer. It was confusing. Mike Sheehy, he was our equipment guy. He was not a Division I skate sharpener. Coach Umili would usually see Mike Sheehy on Sunday mornings walking back across campus. We'll just leave it at that. So we used to do a radio show up at Allen's, and Pete Soares would drive us in, and we'd go up there and do a radio show. We'd have dinner. And one time we did the radio show, and we always stay later than we should. And so we were heading home, and we had called the head. We had called the head to Jeff Kane. Jeff Kane worked the local PD in Pittsfield, so we were going right through Epsom. So on the way back, Pete Soares gets pulled over at the Epsom traffic circle. Yeah, it was the best. Dave Lassonde, guys. Dave Lassonde was our positional coach, and OCD. But he was the guy that I feel made our D-Corps what it was. And we were consistent. We didn't give up many goals. And we bought into what he was teaching us. So if I didn't recognize Coach Lassonde, he's not here today. He's out in Michigan. But he sent me a text earlier. And Coach Lassonde. So Coach Umili, we have a couple housekeeping items we need to clean up. We were trying to do a team building experience at the Rockingham Country Club. And we thought it went pretty well. And we go golf, and some of us had clubs, but anyways, we golf, and it had to be a few days later because it came via mail. He got a letter from the superintendent, and I think you just misinterpreted it. We've been after that letter since our senior dinner. So if you could just dig into the 2004 folder class and just pass that along, that'd be great. We really could have used the GoFundMe page in that situation, but it was pre-GoFundMe. But these are some of the memories of some of the guys. Obviously, we can't share all the stories, but we had a great time over there, and the guys, I mean, hockey brings us together. It's all the other stuff that you talk about. So, over the 4 years at UNH, we had an incredible support system. We could count on many of our friends and family members for the former teammates, coaches, and members of our community to show up at the games, home or away. Playing in front of a sold-out crowd every night made it an absolutely incredible place to play. Couldn't get a ticket. Nobody makes a bigger sacrifice in the sport of hockey than parents. My parents exemplify what that sacrifice means. Anybody that watched my sister and I growing up knows that my dad was tough and had very high expectations. We never got days off. Our mornings with our dad were early and often spent training at the rink at 4:30 a.m. before school. That was on the weekends too. Nobody wanted to sleep over because they were going to the rink. Then after school, it was off to our regular scheduled practice. Training took priority over everything else. My dad was consistent, and no days off for us meant no days off for him. His sacrifice this sacrifice to make us better, and continues to make the same sacrifice today for his grandchildren. Mom, what do I say? You are a sounding board, our driver. She may have had a few conversations with the state police now and then. And even known as an enforcer in the stands. She can tell you those stories. You've always been our biggest supporter, and it took my sister going to Japan to compete in the Olympics for them to miss one of my games. And I thought I was the favorite. Even when I was at Avon playing 3 sports, they traveled to every game twice a week. And after they would head to Brown to watch my sister play. Just to drive home and be at work first thing the next morning. Today, they rarely miss a sporting event, practice, or game. That's one of their 5 grandchildren have. My parents wouldn't call it sacrifice because they'll tell you there's nothing else they'd rather be doing. Thanks, Mom and Dad. Today, I'm fortunate to be able to give back to a sport that has given so much to me over the years. From serving as president of Concord Youth Hockey alongside Wes Riley, thank you. Thank you, Wes, for your steadfast commitment to the sport. To coaching our 2 boys, Reese and Michael, alongside some incredible talent and friends, Jeff Kane, Tim Walsh, Corey Joe Feisick, Derek Becker, Clint Ettinger. Hockey has been so much more than just a sport for me. It's been the framework of my life. I believe that many of us in the room today know that hockey is in fact the greatest sport in the world. No other sport builds such incredible bonds that truly stand the test of time and distance. Thank you to all for your support today and for being a part of an amazing journey. Nope. We had one other club at UNH, and it was called the Wives Club. It was the girlfriend of the hockey players. And Shannon, my wife, Missy, there was a handful. And there was probably about, on average, 5. And these girls, they went everywhere. It'd be BU if we were out in New York, they would Providence, wherever they went. And my roommates would tell you that Shannon, I wouldn't be standing here today without you. So, yeah, but you kept us out of trouble. You kept the compass pointing north. But Thank you for your support over the years. And boys, keep doing what you're doing. Thank you.
And now to unveil the mystery of the day, the president of the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey, John Norman.
Yeah, you're going to find this to be a mystery as I read this, because when I first read this, I was like, what is this? Actually, I want Nelson's speechwriter. I would like to hire your speechwriter. You're hired. All right. The team that we're honoring next fall started play back in 1984 by a fellow who played college hockey back in the late 60s. In fact, he scored his first college goal ever. His child played hockey, wanted to play hockey, and so he and several other kids got a team together that would play their games in a cold rink up off of Interstate 89. He recruited others to assist him, named Jay, and another parent, and they had just enough players throughout that area as well as the Upper Valley to field a team. A few years later, he recruited other coaches. Their first names were Dave and Toby and Mike. You see the mystery here is just building? Their children wanted to play for this team as well, so all of a sudden they had other players from Rochester and Concord. And then prior to 87-88, a fellow named Dennis got involved and coached, and a new name with new uniforms. In April of '92, his team traveled to Duluth, Minnesota, and returned to the Granite State with a 5-0 record and a 2-1 win in the national championship game. The team that we are honoring next year is the New Hampshire Women's Select Team. And here with us today is the guy who started it all back in 1984, Jay Jones. Along with his fellow coaches, Jay Campion, Dave Budrius, Mike Mounsey, Diane Ritchie, and Jeff Kane, who provided color with Jim Rivers at the tournament in Minnesota. We have several notable players here today: Stacy Budrius Landry, Tara Mounsey, Carrie Jones, Gina Nolan, Kendra Ritchie Austin, Steph Akers, as well as Donna Budrius, the wife of Coach Dave Budrius. Would you all please stand? And in closing, without fail, we always seem to forget a couple of the inductees who are here present today. One is Mark Evans and Steve Murphy. So I just want to acknowledge you guys. Sorry about the slight, but they are here with us today. So we're going to have, that's it? So we are going to have all of the inductees come up to the stage for a group photo, as well as the Concord Olympic team and the inductees, the members of the Hall of Fame, to come up after for a group photo. Thank you so much for your support. This has been an awesome day. Congratulations to the 5 new inductees.
When I